Hello, everyone, and welcome to our spooky Halloween playthrough. We decided to go more nostalgic with this route, and we're gonna do Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Yay! So it's an FTCR playthrough. So Garrett's here because he's contractually obligated to be here. Steven's here because he's awesome, and Miwa's here because she's the best.
Oh, I see how it is. I'm just here because you're stuck with me. But the other two are here because of their merits.
It's literally Gareth and pals. Like, what more do you want?
Wait a minute. This tile screen misspelled neighbors. Redo this OP, Mexi. Do the PAL version.
Are you trying to tell me that there is actually a British way to spell the word neighbors?
Is there a U in there?
Yep. Although you know what I'd forgotten.
I see.
You know what I'd forgotten about this game. It's LucasArts.
It is.
Which means Lucasfilm owns this, which means Disney now owns this, and we could get a Disney version.
Yeah.
If Zombies Ate My Neighborhood isn't in Wreck-It Ralph 2, I'm gonna be pissed off.
Yeah, no, and this was actually in development with other LucasArts, because yeah, LucasArts mostly, for the most part, did their point-and-click adventure games once Secret of Monkey Islands was released, and they kind of just went with that genre. I mean, before then, like, LucasArts actually made fucking gorgeous Atari games. Like, people seem to have completely forgot that, but when LucasArts first started, they were kind of trying to be like the Squaresoft of the West. Like, their games were gorgeous and they actually had pretty competent story writing. But yeah, around the 90s
What just happened?
Oh yeah, so let's explain how the game works. This is an arcade game in the sense that really the whole point of this game is to either get to the end or really get the highest score. Each level has 10 survivors, and basically, they have active hitboxes that enemies can attack them, and if a victim gets hit by a monster, they're gone. You lose a victim, and basically, victims are permanent. If you save 10 in level 1, then you start level 2 at 10. If you lose a couple survivors, then that number carries over. You can get more survivors by reaching certain point check marks, and which at that point it's kind of like in most other games where like you get a free man because you got so many points. In this game, the game's gracious enough to give you extra victims because they're essentially your second life bar, because you can game over either by losing all your lives and health or by all the victims dying. So honestly, like, you can get health a million different ways. The survivors are really your main priority, and with this playthrough it's gonna actually be an all survivor playthrough. Yay.
100%.
Technically, yeah, because there's really not a percentage counter, but over the course of this game there's 48 levels, so there's 10 victims per level. There's actually 6 bonus levels. This level is actually the first bonus level. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but in order to get to the first bonus level of the game, you have to either get rockets or the monster potion from completely random drops in order to get the symbol that lets you go to the first bonus level. So starting this playthrough was kind of a pain in the fucking ass because I had to essentially keep restarting to get a random drop in order to get 100% in this game.
I recognize that tentacle running around. That's from Day of the Tentacle, isn't it?
It is, yeah. When we were talking about LucasArts, this game was actually in development at the exact same time as Day of the Tentacle, and the staff for both games actually shared rooms. So they kind of decided to throw the tentacle into this, thus creating an amazing continuity line where Maniac Mansion, Day of the Tentacle, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and of course the little-known sequel to Zombies Ate My Neighbors, Ghoul Patrol, are all in the same universe. So, bless you, George Lucas. Like, I know everyone is all excited about your Star Wars movies and how they rhyme and shit, but fuck it. I'm all about that extended Zombies Ate My universe.
How they rhyme and shit. That's why people like Star Wars, because they rhyme.
That's the only reason why I keep watching them. Okay, so you're saving people by absorbing them?
Yes, into your essence, either with Zeke or what is the female character's name?
Female character.
Oh no, of course not. No, she's her own person and she has her own autonomy. You shut your face.
You know what? I actually played this for about an hour before we started this OP, and I think her design is far better than Extreme 90s Kid, who you're playing as.
It really is. when I tried to kind of learn how to speedrun this game, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go with the female character because I had been playing as the female character for all the like Pokemon games, but I don't know. Zeke has got super 90s design. He's wearing 3D glasses when he's not even remotely near a movie theater. Believe it or not, a movie theater is not even a level in this game, even though all the monsters are kind of based off classic Hollywood movie monsters.
I hate this kid so much.
Hey, don't hate on Zeke.
Do they play exactly the same, or does like Zeke have like one like pixel faster running animation, or something?
No, they play exactly the same. That's kind of the neat thing about Zombies Ate My Neighbors, that it was a very fun, just local co-op game. It's only 2 players, so can't get one of those fancy SNES like quad splitters or whatever.
Who left all their babies running around? I wanna know.
Also, yeah, the female's character name is Julie, and no, that is not the question to be asking just yet. Like, don't worry about why the babies
Oh,
are
it's
out
not?
there.
Okay.
No. You will see later on that people are very irresponsible with their babies. My question is, why is the professor giving you a goddamn F in the middle of the zombie apocalypse? Now is not the time for criticism.
Let him die. They're just giving you a bad grade. Fuck him.
Exactly. Well, she actually gives you less points. She is the survivor that is worth the least amount of points. You only get 10 points for saving the teacher, but you know, with all survivors, we're gonna save every single one. Another thing too that's really neat that I didn't mention with the first level, because these levels are really short, is the first level has kind of a safety net to it where you have a dude sitting in the pool, but the level has no enemies that can actually go into the water. So no matter how bad you are at this game, you can always get past through the first level with at least one survivor, because he's immune. Later on,
You are severely underestimating just how bad at video games I am.
you're gonna somehow find a way to get the zombies in the pool and kill the invincible enemy.
I took so long, the guy died of boredom.
Aw. I'm honestly surprised they didn't throw that into this game. But this game was released on both the SNES and the Genesis. They're basically the exact same game, except the SNES has a better soundtrack, and the Genesis, during the game over screen, there's kind of like there's a drippy effect on the game over screen. In the SNES version, it's purple to, I guess, essentially be monster blood, but in the Genesis version, it's red, so it's very clearly blood.
Yeah, I mean, because I saw that because when I was playing, I played till I gamed over, and I'm like, that the reason it's purple just has to be because Nintendo were like, no blood, no gonzo, and Sega were like, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah, there are clearly enemies like right here in this level. The plant pods, they shoot out blue goo, so you know it fits thematically with what the enemies are doing.
There are so many babies.
So many babies unaccounted for. Rockets are basically the most important item in the game, aside from keys, just because rockets as a weapon are also a means to clear a path, because a lot of enemies or a lot of victims too will be stuck in paths that you kind of need rockets to get to.
I forget. Is there a more shocking level 5? Is there any bosses in this game? I forget. Or is it just every level is kind of the same thing?
No, there are bosses. There is one boss on level 10, and then there's a huge break, but then you get a couple bosses later on. But there's not a huge variety in bosses. There's not even really a huge variety in terms of assets in this game. I mean, we're only a few levels in, but we're gonna get to the part of this playthrough where we're gonna see the like 6th pyramid level, and we're just not gonna know what the fuck to talk about anymore. But
Well, it looks like you do the same shit over and over already.
it is. Well, it's
Does it
very
ever change?
No, it's very much an arcade game. It's save 10 victims,
Okay.
try not to fuck it up, get to the next level, save 10 more. Occasionally you get those passwords like you saw. The passwords are kind of a double-edged sword, because a huge component of this game, and this is going to sound pretentious as fuck, is that this game is almost like a roguelike, in the sense that everyone's playthrough starts the same, but depending on what you randomly pick up or what powers you manage to like gather through each playthrough, your playthrough changes, and you kind of create these different characters by the end of the game. So with the passwords, you're allowed to essentially skip a shit ton of levels, but you miss out on all the pickups that you could stockpile up to that point, or even like really rare random pickups that you can get. We haven't gotten one, but there's a skeleton key item that unlocks specific doors, and if you get them very early in the game through random drops, you can skip a boss. But I don't really get one. I'm just mostly focused on stockpiling the weapons and keys that I need. It's kind of like Zelda 1. Keys work no matter what level you're on, so it's always better to get them when they're early and easy to pick up in the beginning of the game.
Is this the rest of the? Are you gonna just fast forward for the rest of the playthrough? Oh no. What?
I wanna know what fucking neighborhood this kid lives in. There's a castle and a fucking pyramid in this neighborhood. Where does this kid live?
The same California that Sonic tries to escape out of, and thus has a Egyptian pyramid right next door.
Does anyone know why there's a fucking pyramid in San Francisco? So as a kid, a friend of mine growing up had this, and I would want to go over to his house a lot just to play this because it was a fun thing. But I'm gonna assume Steven and Miwa, you two haven't played this at all.
No.
Well, it's good.
See, I played this. I had this game originally on my Genesis. I only had 3 games for my Genesis when I grew up. I had Sonic 2, I had Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and I had a broken cartridge of Batman that actually wouldn't let me go past the first level. So I replayed the first level of Batman a million times, and I attempted to play as much Zombies Ate My Neighbors as I could, but I am bad at video games now. I was even worse as a kid.
Oh, is this a tool-assisted run?
This is most tool assisted. This requires crutches and performance enhancing drugs.
Well, I mean, because like you're going for 100% Mexi, but the rate you're going, how fast you're doing this, this almost does feel like a speed run. Except, oh shit, there's a fucking baby.
Baby. And that's actually why I collected all the Pandora boxes at the early parts of the game. This is kind of how you sort of have to play zombies, is you stockpile early on, you plan your route on what powers you'll pick up, and then you ask yourself the tough questions like, who left all these babies on the field?
It was me. Fuck 'em.
Whose babies are these?
Stupid babies need the most help.
Exactly. This is the boss I mentioned you could skip. If you manage to luck out and get yourself a skeleton key in the first couple levels, you can actually just skip fighting the giant baby altogether. But you also miss out on the survivor it becomes. So the Titanic toddlers, there's actually 3 in this whole game. They count as victims in this game because they turn into a regular sized baby.
Baby!
Giant babies.
I will say though, I think the soundtrack for this game is pretty sweet.
No, this game has probably one of the most fantastic soundtracks, and it's kind of the reason why it was weird. I saw a video that was trying to do like a console comparison. I guess it was trying to be non-biased and fair, but the SNES version is just so vastly superior to the Genesis version through soundtrack alone. Just the SNES version has sound effects and like super compressed voices added to it that are creepy. In the Genesis, I don't know what happened. Like, no knock on the actual sound chip, but what they tried to do with the Genesis version, it doesn't work. The music's not that good.
Yeah, normally whenever there were those games that were on both systems, it was normally a thing of people would argue over the soundtrack, unless it was something like Mortal Kombat, where the Mega Drive version had blood and the Super Nintendo didn't. I think in a lot of times the sound chip for the Super Nintendo just sounded I don't want to say better because it's sort of style choice, but I would say it could make more realistic sounding instrumentation, we'll say, versus the Mega Drive where it just made everything just sound like the grungiest rock band records in their mother's basement with a really shitty microphone. That's what all like Mega Drive soundtracks sound like. And for some games, like the Mega Drive version of Maximum Carnage, I think sounds so much better than the Super Nintendo because that entire soundtrack is going for like a rock band. I mean, whoever made that game actually hired a rock band to just make their music, and then they just kind of Mega Drive it. Kind of like what they did with Sonic 1 and 2. So for Maximum Carnage, I think the kind of grungier sound works far better for the Mega Drive version.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the instrumentation of the game. With zombies, it's definitely trying to harken back to like horror movies, all the way from drive-through horror to as recently as like 80s horror. So I feel like with the soundtrack, it's kind of going for that, you know, that George Romero Halloween, that synthy, spiky soundtrack. Exactly. But with it, there's a fun to it. There's definitely a camp to zombie. With this level alone, no assembly required. I love this level because I actually was terrified of Chucky as a kid. That was like the one movie monster that got me. I wasn't scared of like Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, but for some weird reason, Chucky and Slappy, like living toys, creeped the shit out of me. So
Did Toy Story scare you?
No. Which is surprising. Like, why wouldn't it creep me out? But no, so no assembly required. This was the worst level for me. And this level actually has a little tricky Fandango thing going on there where parts of the level kind of move on timers, and as soon as you enter a part of the level, certain actions will start occurring. So there's a part there with that soldier character where he's conveniently located next to some areas where evil killer dolls just start getting pumped out. So you have to, a really convenient thing is to launch the rockets before it's on screen, because it'll keep track of the fact that your rocket destroyed the wall, but you won't start the timer for the level to start like making dolls to start killing your victims. So that's kind of a way you also have to play zombies, is you have to play against the level. This game was designed against you. Like, I know nowadays, like, it's good game design versus bad game design, but with Zombies Ate My Neighbors, they don't want you to win. There are actual portions of this game that are designed to intentionally destroy your victims, and you'll see that I actually have to do workarounds. Like, I have to like manipulate the game's like memory functions in order to prevent it from killing off a victim.
Sheesh.
Although, you know, can we all agree though that the fact that the end of level screen is annoyingly designed, where everything is in the top half, and so you have like the sprites, as we're gonna see now. You have the sprites of the people you've saved like over the fucking text. There's nothing on the bottom.
Yeah.
There's fucking nothing on the bottom. Move them down. That fucking cheerleader jumps over the live counter. Move them down. What the fucking play it out? Fucking move them down.
You could have used this whole screen. I get it's 4x3, but you didn't even use the full screen.
Bastards.
It's called full screen.
Fuck you, Konami.
If the baby is giant, does it still wear baby shoes?
Yes, it just wears giant baby shoes, size extra large. And yes, you still need to buy diapers for it.
But are they called baby shoes?
Meanwhile, you're not thinking about the big tit that it has to suck on.
I wish I was.
So when I was playing this in the supermarket level, there was something that happened. Was like, if this game was made or remade today, there was one thing that happened that would ensure this would not be classed as a children's game. When one of the kind of killer dolls throws a butcher knife and murders a baby, that would not be allowed in a fucking kids game this day and age.
Yeah, a few of the enemies have projectile-based weapons, and the killer dolls. Oh, also, levels will sometimes have really unique bonuses to them. Mars needs cheerleaders. If you save all the victims, you get a 10 cheerleader bonus, because it's 80s nostalgia, guys. Saving the cheerleader is kind of like the goal of it, and it even unlocks a bonus level. So, but yeah, the killer dolls can throw an axe later on in the game. We get vampires that throw a bat, but projectile-based enemies are literally the fucking worst in this game.
Because I mean, aside from in terms of the weapons mechanics, because again, I only played it for a little bit and I only encountered like 4 or 5. Do you want to explain what the weapons are and how useless most of them are?
Yeah, a lot of them are really useless. You're gonna see that the vast majority of the time. Oh, introduction. Here are the vampires, but I use the squirt gun just because it's very versatile and actually is the weakness of one of the bosses. The cross is amazing because you become the active hitbox, so you become invincible, but you can also, hit enemies. Rockets I've already gone over as basically the most powerful weapon in the game. Like, you can clear paths, you can, save yourself keys, but at the same time, it's an actual fucking weapon. I've gotten the bubble gun as sort of a bonus item. That one's really nice just because it can trap enemies without actually killing them. As well as the fire hydrant. The fire hydrant is also really great. You may have seen a couple of those slime monsters. They're actually invincible. The only way to kill them is to use the fire hydrant to freeze them, and then they kind of do that whole shatter effect.
Do you mean the fire extinguisher?
Fire extinguisher, that's it. And the weed whacker. The weed whacker lets you go, clears up all the brush, but it also works as a, turning yourself into the hitbox type thing. The clowns, you see the clown balloons that I use, those are also pretty underrated. They're great just because they work as a distraction item, especially for vampires. It will actually it will distract both the vampire and his projectile attack, so clown decoys are really neato as well.
They can also block corridors so that enemies can't get past. So if you just want to hide in the corner for a little bit, you can just put a clown there. It's all good.
There are more useless items. You get like cherries or tomatoes. I think they're tomatoes. There's forks and knives, plates, soda cans. A lot of them are just, they're all projectile-based items. You don't really need them. That's why you kind of don't see me use them. I pick them up when I really shouldn't because they just add more inventory that I have to shuffle through. But it's not the worst thing.
There is also a map if you're having trouble finding the neighbors. You can if you toggle the L or R button, the map will turn on and off, and then you can just follow that and then murder everyone.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't actually use one in this playthrough, but yeah, if you press L1 or R1, it will bring up the map, and it's just a grid with dots. The closer you get to the dots, that's a victim. And it's kind of neat because it at least lets you know the general direction and the level you need to go to, but it won't tell you like where they are or what their situation, because you've already seen that some victims can be behind doors, some are in weird paths. So this is what I'm talking about with certain enemies. The game only allows 6 monsters at a time. So with this game, I try to collect as many zombies to follow me, because if you don't fill up those 6 enemy slots, a zombie just kind of pops up near that one archaeologist and you're sort of fucked. So that's one of those monster manipulations. I mean, when the game is literally stacked against you, you have to kind of mess with it so that it doesn't spawn enemies where it wholly intends to spawn an enemy to destroy a victim for you. But that one's one of them. There's one later on that is required, essentially, because I haven't really talked about it, but the victims that are just the couple tourist, they have a unique mechanic where once a level becomes nighttime and you hear the werewolf howl, they will turn into werewolves. So you have victims that will turn into monsters. Like, that's just how stacked against you the game is. Like, I love it. The game's mean. The game gives no fuck about you. It's kind of neat. It's sort of a hybrid between that whole arcade hard and, console gaming, where the game didn't need to zap you of all your quarters because you weren't putting quarters into it, but the game is still designed like a quarter sucker.
That's what they used to call me in high school, the quarter sucker.
Quarter sucker. Not the quarterback, I'm the quarter sucker.
How many people were buried in this one yard? Like, see, hundreds of people coming out of the ground. Like, it's not even a graveyard. What's happening?
It's still the same neighborhood, Steven. Remember, these are still the neighbors.
I guess. Gareth,
So
can you go back to singing the Halloween theme?
Holy shit, there's fucking ants.
It's the level ants.
I have a question. Why do we give a fuck about these neighbors?
Well, if we save our teacher, maybe she won't give us an F.
Oh, it's Bart's Nightmare. I get it.
It's basically Bart's Nightmare. That's
only actually a good game.
Bart ate my neighbors.
What ate my neighbor?
Sonic saved the neighbors.
The more pages you get in this kid's dream, the more people Bart Simpson actually eats in real life.
Oh my god.
Nothing about this game makes any sense.
Oh my god, is there a mod for ukulele where you can play as Bart? Because you collect pages in that.
Who would Lady be if Yuka's Bart? Who would Lady be?
Just a smaller Bart.
A smaller part. Perfect. Yeah, if you want to kill the ants easily, rockets or the bubble gun. I don't know why, but the ants are weak to the bubble gun and it causes them to spontaneously combust. Once you save all 10, that's just kind of the end of that level. Ants are going to show up later on and they fucking suck, so yeah. It's good that they got an introduction in a shitty level.
I am surprised there's so many levels.
There are going to be at least 48 levels.
Jesus Christ. This is only part 1. Oh, fuck.